So this week we're watching Matilda.
Oh, that Elliot Gould comedy about the boxing kangaroo.
No, not... Wait, you've seen it too?
I don't want to see an ordinary film. I want to see something extraordinary.
Your sacrifice completes my sanctuary of 1,000 testicles.
You ever feel as if your mind had started to erode?
Let's rock indeed. Welcome everybody to 1000 Wives of Weird, a podcast that is a celebration of weird film.
Mm-hmm.
I am Brad Hefner, and with me as always is...
Billy Martell.
And if you're wondering why it's not Billy's turn this week, it's because we got greedy with our theme month. No, not that one month, which ends with a whimper.
Yes.
We should have ended with Up.
Well, we didn't know going in.
No, and
Yeah.
I'll get into that aspect.
Yeah.
But this week we're talking about the 1978 film Matilda.
Mm-hmm.
And now let me say something.
You
First
say it.
off, I'm sorry. I wanted to do this movie for a long time, just because I love boxing kangaroos. Like, that concept is...
Yeah.
I'm infatuated with that concept.
I get it. Yeah.
So once I found out that there was a boxing kangaroo movie starring Mr. Elliot Gould.
Mr. Dr. Elliot Gould.
He's a Mr. First.
Yes.
Like his father. In tribute to his father.
In tribute.
And then the doctorate was secondary.
Right, yes.
The greatest thing he could be in life was his father's son. So this has been on my list for a while. I even hunted it down a while back. As soon as I saw what this kangaroo looks like, and we'll talk about that later, I was like, this is some shit. So we were doing this month, and I was like, okay, let's just do 4. That's how many weeks are in a month.
Yeah.
Typically. And you were like, no, go for it. Let's do all of them.
Did I say that?
Well, you weren't, not in those exact words, but you were like, I might have even know what might have happened, and I was like, let's cut out Up and do Matilda, because I figured you would enjoy Up less.
Oh, man, that was a miscalculation.
Yeah, well, because it was softcore pornography, and I was like, I don't know if Billy wants to watch this.
Oh, okay.
But, and then we were like, well, I know you really wanted to do Up, so let's just do all of them. Mm-hmm. Very basically, Up is a story about...
Well, Up is a story
Oh,
about
I'm sorry.
Hitler's daughter, but
No,
yes.
I was just thinking of any other movie than Matilda.
No, I think you're thinking about Up because you're thinking about Up most of the time.
True. No, that's... Margot Winchester lives rent-free in Monoghan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Matilda is a story about a boxing kangaroo.
Yes.
His owner, Billy Baker, their manager, Bernelli.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. A lot of my notes are like, I guess,
this might as well happen.
They sort of promote Matilda, and Matilda gets very big in the boxing world. Mm-hmm. They get mixed up in mob shenanigans. Mm-hmm. Nothing fucking matters in this movie.
Nothing fucking matters. There are no stakes.
There's no stakes. There's no character.
Every once in a while, a character will say, but if this doesn't happen, this will happen. And I'm like, when was that established?
Yeah.
Never.
But yeah, Matilda, boxing kangaroo on the rise. And
Yes.
that's the gist.
That's the gist.
And let's, if it's not clear yet, Billy, would you recommend Matilda?
No, not in a million years would I ever recommend that anyone watch this. My wife, Kaylee, who sometimes stops in as I'm watching these movies, stopped in for like the last 3 minutes of this film and just sitting in for the last 3 minutes could tell that something had gone wrong. And she said something that I felt really summed it up. She says, I feel like the 70s had some of the best stuff, but when something in the 70s was bad, it was truly tragic.
Yes.
And that is this movie. This movie is the worst kind of lazy, asinine, dog shit filmmaking that is so lazy and poorly done that I feel like somebody was laundering money through the production of this film.
Do you think it was Elliot Gould?
I don't think it was Elliot Gould because I found a story about his involvement in the movie.
Oh, wonderful.
I'll just briefly touch on it now because it doesn't touch on the plot. Elliot Gould was a up and coming like star in Hollywood at the time, and the producer felt so bad for getting him involved in this movie very early on in the production that he offered to buy Elliot Gould out of the contract he had signed to make the movie. And Elliot Gould, being a young actor, was like, "That's unprofessional. I could never do that." And stayed on the movie, and then later on said that was a huge mistake. So I don't think that Elliot Gould was getting anything out of this.
Really?
Aside from his paycheck. This movie is definitely weird. But most of the time when we talk about weird, we're talking about outre, we're talking about bizarre, we're talking about essentially creative. And this movie is not only not creative, it's not imaginative, it's not interesting, it's not a movie.
No. I also would not recommend Matilda. I think this is head and shoulders the worst movie we've covered.
God, yes.
Worse than Three Deva Dem.
Yeah, I would rewatch Three Deva Dem twice before I'd watch this again.
Yeah. And Three Deva Dem was a fucking slog.
It was a fucking slog, but at least it had pretty decent fight scenes.
At times.
At times.
Something I wanted to clarify earlier when I was bringing up. Normally, I vet a movie pretty far in advance.
Sure.
I did not do that with this one. I was just sold. Elliot Gould, boxing kangaroo. That's all I needed.
Right, and then we saw the Google images of pictures from the movie and we're like, even more sold.
Yes. I never thought it was I guess I never thought it was going to be good, just because who the fuck has heard of this movie?
No.
And also, look at that kangaroo.
Right.
But, yeah, so if I had watched this in enough time to call an audible, I probably would have been like, you know what, let's save this for when we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Right, yeah.
But, again, the weird bona fides are Elliot Gould, boxing kangaroo.
Right.
That's what qualifies it. There's also some other weird shit I'm going to bring up once we start talking about the movie proper.
There are some bizarre connections that this movie has.
I will say this now.
Okay.
While this movie is dog shit, not the very end, but the ending portion leading up to the very end, I actually found kind of effective.
I'm gonna hard disagree, but sure.
There
have been many times we've started an episode with me saying absolutely not, and you saying, but maybe, and then we get to the end, and I'm turned around. So maybe you'll turn me around about the last how many minutes of Matilda. This is a hard sell.
Okay. I wasn't gonna fight hard, but now I feel like I have to.
Right, yeah. So I'm giving this episode the stakes this movie doesn't have.
So, we'll get into talking about Matilda proper.
Yes.
By the way, obviously don't watch this movie.
Yeah, be careful, because we're about to spoil Matilda.
But go on Google image search Matilda kangaroo movie.
Yeah.
And just look at this monster.
Look at it.
This was made in 1978. Now, here's something that confused the shit out of me.
Okay.
I assumed this was a children's movie.
Yeah, or at least a family picture.
Because, again, it's about a fucking boxing kangaroo.
Right.
Also, it's rated G.
Yes, but rated G in the 70s was different than rated G.
Okay.
Rated G in
Back
later.
then, things were just rated G if they had Elliot Gould in them.
Exactly.
Rated G for Solid Gould.
Solid Gould.
Do you think... I wish Elliot Gould had to have been on SNL one time and they did a sketch with the Solid Gould dancers.
Or Gouldfinger.
This is not a children's film. And even the first time... I watched this movie... I tried to watch this movie before I had to take notes on it to give it a fair shake. Mm-hmm. Got through about an hour and was like, I get the gist.
Yeah.
But I was watching it, I was like, there's nothing in this movie that a child would enjoy. Like, not even getting it then. It's only once I went on Wikipedia and was like, there's no mention of this being a children's film. Mm-hmm. That makes sense in a way that's inexplicable. Like, this should be a children's film.
Yeah. It makes sense it's not made for a kid, but it also doesn't make sense because who was it made for?
Yeah, I guess maybe high people in the 70s, like
which I think was most people in the 70s.
Yeah, this is based on a novel.
Yes.
By Paul Gallico, who also wrote The Poseidon Adventure.
Yes. I read some reviews. Apparently the book is way better
Almost has to be.
Yeah.
I hope it's told from one. I hope it's written like a Cormac McCarthy novel. And the behemoth drew back its arm, and the blow struck like God's wrath.
That makes sense because there is a theme at the end of the movie that the presence of a boxing kangaroo holding the title championship is a threat to humanity's very existence as the dominant species on this planet. So that oh my God.
Werner Herzog's Matilda.
I want to see the baby.
What if a kangaroo could box a man by his own rules?
There is no rules. It says a dog cannot play basketball.
So in this movie, there is a horrifying kangaroo suit that words cannot do justice to.
Yeah.
Except to say that they included balls on this suit.
Right. And around this time, we've spent enough time jawing that if you've decided to follow Brad's instruction to Google image search this kangaroo, you're now looking at this.
Hopefully you scroll down far enough to see the full body picture. Or you
with
can
them,
see the balls.
with them balls. And if you haven't yet, this is your cue to scroll down farther. I know you saw the eyes and the ears and you're like, oh God, I'll never recover.
Like, why am I getting image search results for the dog man from The Shining?
Right, yeah. Scroll down further and now you can see its balls.
Again, why?
Balls.
Why? Like, again, if it were a children's movie, those balls would not be present.
Right.
Even though if they were, I would be fine with it.
Sure.
Because it's just nature.
It's just nature.
Some children have balls.
Some children have balls. It's true. And also, Miyazaki made a children's movie involving I think it was called
Tanuki?
Involving Tanuki with their gigantic inflatable shape-shifting balls.
It's just nature. It's just biology.
Nature.
But at the same time, why? Why? Like, that's an insane decision. That it's like, I don't understand it.
So, like, at the end of the day, this movie could be a masterpiece. It's not. It is certifiably not, under any circumstances, a masterpiece. It could have been, and the movie would still suck because this kangaroo suit is so awful.
Yes.
Even if this were directed by Steven Spielberg, if this were directed by... Well, no, Shion Sono could probably have made this work, but anybody else, it still would have fucking sucked because this kangaroo suit is the worst.
It's absolutely awful.
I have seen movies from the 1930s with gorilla suits more convincing than this kangaroo suit.
It's unsettling to watch the person inside of it move around because it's not like tight against their body like skin is supposed to be. It's like they're in a fucking potato sack race.
Exactly. It's like a fucking potato sack race. Arms.
They use their arms like a human.
Like a human. Kangaroo arms are like little T-Rex things. They're like barely functioning on their body. And this thing is like full human-sized forearms.
Yeah.
The kangaroo doesn't move like a kangaroo. It moves like a person in a fursuit. So whenever you're watching, what was the name? The Buddy Baker or whatever, the owner of
Billy Baker.
Billy Baker. When you're watching Billy Baker walk around, you're not thinking, oh, there's cute Billy Baker with his cute pet. You're thinking, there's Billy Baker and his strange boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, it's so upsetting every second.
It is. And again, but why include the balls? That's what I need to know. Like, was this a producer was like this was their kink? Like, maybe, like, nah, you gotta put the balls on. Or maybe it was a demand by the author. Maybe it was in the book that, like, this kangaroo had super noticeable balls. Granted, for most of the movie, you don't see them.
True, yeah.
Once the climax comes, you're gonna see them balls.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't have a kangaroo climax without balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You ever see that Jasper No film, Kangaroo Climax?
No.
I hope I said his name right. I probably didn't.
I wouldn't know either way.
By the way, this suit that looks like dog shit costs $30,000.
Somebody pulled off one hell of a con.
Yeah, like I feel like they, much like Billy Baker does in this movie, like just look through the newspaper and it's like, seamstress, great.
Right, yeah. No, it's,
But no.
it's like Fantastic Four when they just hired out some effects house and they were like giving them all this money, and then the effects came back and it was the effects in the Fantastic Four movie.
It's like community theater does better than this. High schools do better than this.
Yeah, no, you can literally see. You can't even say that they added the balls for realism because you can see the seams in the outfit. There are certain shots when the head's moving around and you can see like the different folds of fabric and not moving with the rest of the outfit. A producer or a critic or somebody that I read about identified something that I didn't notice when watching it, but I realized later on. They never figure out how they have mechanics in the head of the kangaroo to operate the eyelids and the ears, and they never figure out how to make it work properly until the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie, they're clearly not knowing what they're doing. The actor is literally falling over himself in shots, and they just left it in because nobody gave a shit. Except for Elliot Gould, who was too young and stupid to know better. Nobody gave a shit about this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I will bring up someone who was great in the movie, but that person did not give a shit. They're just great.
Yes. Yeah, no, they are great.
By the way, in today's money, $30,000 is $130,000, $544.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the movie opens like a sitcom.
Yeah, it has shots of it has shots of New York and this fucking terrible Pat Boone song, which I don't know. The song should have been about a fucking boxing kangaroo.
Why? Yeah. Instead,
been.
It's like a love song about when I'm with you, I'm feeling good.
And there's this another reason I thought it was a children's film.
Yeah,
is because this song, one, it's very upbeat and shiny, and like it's fucking Pat Boone if you know who that is, and if you don't, you're not missing out.
Pat Boone is essentially a genre in of himself.
Pat Boone is like if you dipped white bread into water, that flavor,
like Barry Manilow but whiter.
Yeah, like if people find Perry Como too edgy, it's like we don't listen to that Satan music in this house.
Right.
We're gonna listen to Pat Boone and the Osmonds. But there's also a little children's part in this movie where they go la 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 la. It's an awful song.
It's awful.
It's a dumb love song that the movie's going to be a dumb love story for whatever fucking reason.
Oh, one of the worst love stories.
It's so it literally is.
You know that meme, still a better love story than Twilight? Not in this case. In this case, you'd be better off watching and or reading Twilight.
As the credits end, we see an older man bike to, I assume it's pronounced Lee's Pub, spelled like a lie, but his name is Billy, so.
Sure.
Which has a shingle featuring a boxing kangaroo. As he enters, he addresses the camera, inviting us in.
Before that, he addresses the kangaroo sign, giving it the pingu nut sound, which I found upsetting.
He introduces himself as Billy Baker, and this is his pub. He's also known as the Kid, or the Burmese Kid, as the other... I think I didn't look up what that means because I don't care.
Sure, yeah.
He's the former welterweight champion of the British Isles.
And more importantly than that, he's Emperor Palpatine.
He is.
Yeah.
I write his name down later.
Clive Revill.
Clive Revill, yes. In the theatrical release of Empire Strikes Back, he voiced Emperor Palpatine.
Before Ian McDermott took over the role. And he is one of the better actors in the movie.
He's good. He's very charming.
He's extremely charming. They don't give him anything to do, but he's good with what he's got.
Who the fuck has anything to do?
Nobody. Not a single person.
Oh, also they debated whether or not to use a real kangaroo. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, I saw that somewhere.
I am thankful that they did not. Kangaroos are very dangerous animals.
Kangaroos are extremely dangerous animals. Throughout this movie, they keep arguing that, like, putting a kangaroo in a ring with a person to fight is animal cruelty. And
I mean, it is.
It is animal cruelty, but in my brain, I'm more worried every time that Matilda gets into a ring with another human being.
She is going to disembowel that man. He is going to, because Matilda's a gent. Is
going to absolutely moiterize him because
they have very sharp, I don't know if they're claws, nails, what you would call them on their feet.
Pointy bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can just, it's not safe. Like,
you can look up on YouTube plenty of videos of drunk assholes going out to try and pet a kangaroo and the kangaroo just fucking annihilating them Kimbo Slice style. It's insane.
But the greatest fighter, even though he was the champ, the greatest fighter he ever went against was Matilda, a boxing kangaroo. He says that Matilda's fighting ability was a gift from God.
Yes.
That's what God does with his time.
That's exactly what God does with his time.
If you've ever prayed and what you prayed for did not happen, that's because God was busy in his celestial forge crafting a boxing kangaroo.
Is it only boxing kangaroos, or does he just, like, sort of roll 2 dice, and it's like, what animal and what human ability am I going to give it? Okay, today I'm giving Air Bud the ability to play basketball. Tomorrow I'm giving Matilda the ability to box.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope he... Otherwise, it's just going to get stale. Like, he's going to get bored with his work.
Right. He's got to keep it...
It's going to get sloppy. It's going to, like, they won't...
Yeah, got to play with...
He's got to make rocks too big for himself to lift.
Right. Well, he's working himself up to that.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten there yet.
Another reason I thought this was a children's film, just to digress shortly, is there's a lot of boring dog shit 70s children's films.
I don't think I've seen a lot of children's films from the 70s. You have any examples?
The Shaggy Dog? Or was that 60s?
It could be either one.
I don't know. Either way, that movie sucks. Fuck you, Shaggy Dog.
60s Disney live action was not a great time for the company.
No.
It was not a great time. And resulted in Walt Disney's dying words being Kurt Russell. Not a joke.
By the way, this religious core of the film is going to return later when we once again touch upon the fact that Matilda is God's most miraculous work.
I don't remember this coming back, but I can't wait to hear
I'll
about it.
point it out.
Yeah.
And we flash back in time, God knows how many years, 70, 80.
Sure.
We flash back
100
to when Billy and Matilda arrive in America. It's an immigrant story. Like Godfather Part 2, some sections.
Dude. Yeah. Well, we'll get to the Godfather connections in a minute.
Matilda, horrifying Matilda with his balls, seems to just immediately tackle a man.
Well, so most of the time when you are introducing the title character of your movie, you want some sort of cinematic fanfare.
Yeah.
You want the camera to impress upon the audience that this character is important.
You wanted a Russ Meyer low-angle shot of these kangaroo balls.
Exactly. No.
Just looming over the camera.
The famous shot from Dr. No, where we cut back to James Bond, we cut to Sean Connery just coming out of a billowing cloud of cigarette smoke saying Bond, James Bond, introducing himself to the film audience, a movie that came out a decade before this film came out. Movies are not just shot like so flat and boring like this. In this movie, Matilda just shows up in this flashback next to Billy with no fanfare, no introduction whatsoever, and is just, as you said, just suddenly assaulting a random New Yorker.
And like, this is one of the most unsettling movements that Matilda makes, not because he's assaulting some random person,
right?
But because, again, the arms are like normal human arms.
Yes.
So it's this man in this gross kangaroo suit,
and also
reaching out like a mummy and just falling on this man.
Right, and it's not made at all clear. Later on, Billy will say, oh, he was just, like, trying to greet the man.
Yeah.
But, like, what I don't know.
He doesn't do that to anybody else.
He doesn't do that to anybody else. There's no consistent thing. And also, because this scene is like a big helicopter or crane shot going down to them on the street with the kangaroo hopping around, this is one of the scenes in which the balls are the most prominent.
Yeah.
And then we just see him, like, glomp a random New Yorker with his balls. All we're thinking about is the balls.
It's insane. Like, it's one of the most insane details I've ever seen in a movie.
It's just... It's so strange and not good. It's so not good.
This feels like a movie that, like, came from a pitch by Colonel Kurtz. Like, when he's
fake a friend of horror.
Like, when he's, like, rambling, like, in the beginning when they play the tape of, like, him reciting, I think it's an Elliot poem. It's just this...
Elliot Gould poem?
Ooh, T.S. Eliot Gould.
T.S. Eliot Gould. He's fascist, but he's also fun. I could almost like see it as like sort of Dennis Hopper's character from that movie as well. Just, you don't understand, man. He's kangaroo and it boxes. He's got kangaroo and he's got balls. He's got testicles, but his name is Matilda with an exclamation point.
A woman faints, and Matilda is dragged away to dog jail. as Billy calls it twice.
Not the pound.
Nope.
Dog jail. Because
oh man, I love a show called Dog Jail.
Pound Puppies was your favorite show as a kid.
No, this would be on HBO. It'd be like Oz.
Okay, but only if J.K. Simmons plays one of the dogs.
Sure.
He probably would anyway.
And it's going to be done like Matilda, where it's going to be people in dog costumes.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Okay. Have you ever heard of Super Pup?
I think so. I think I've seen the box art.
Okay. So just for people who don't know about it, if you want more horrifying animal costumes, George Reeves, the guy who played Superman in the 1950s Adventures of Superman TV show, famously
Killed himself.
Either killed himself or was killed. It's never been fully established, but he definitely killed himself. They were left without a star of their show, and they had multiple different ideas for how to keep making the show regardless. One of them was to rebuild the same sets, but smaller, and have little people in animal costumes go around and do the same kind of shit they used to do on Adventures of Superman, but as dog people. And it was called The Adventures of Super Pup. They shot an entire pilot for this idea, and that exists, and it's horrifying.
Sounds like something we should cover.
Probably should.
Then, for whatever reason, Billy is reading Variety. Of all the, I guess it sort of makes sense because he's trying to break into show business with Matilda.
Sure, why not?
But at the same time, Variety, and this is his solution to break Matilda out of dog jail. Oh, I better go check the trades.
Yeah, normally you want your star attraction out of prison before you get them into show business.
Yeah.
An agent is probably not going to listen to you past, well, my star is in jail.
And thankfully, for whatever reason, Variety is carrying a advertisement for a small-time local talent agency called Book with Bernie.
I would definitely trust that.
So Billy goes there.
Yes.
Because that's what the script says to do.
Right.
I wish Billy would just randomly go, why am I doing this?
I wish that there was
I gotta get my Roo out of dog jail.
I wish that there was a reason for anything that happened in this movie. This is another problem with the movie. There's no thought to where the most interesting part of the story would be.
It would be the fucking boxing kangaroo, but that's what the movie does not give a shit about.
The movie gives no kind of a shit about the boxing kangaroo, but the better opening of the movie is not Billy at his pub talking about this crazy kangaroo. The logical opening for the movie is this scene where we have Booking with Bernie, he's down in his luck talent agent, and then this kooky Irishman comes in and is like, hey, you gotta help me get Matilda out of dog prison.
Dog jail. Matilda has not yet been convicted and sent to dog prison.
That's right. Dog jail. And then you get to the relationship between Bernie and this weird-ass kangaroo is the heart of your movie, but instead, no, I guess.
At Book with Bernie, a crusty sub-Ernest Borgnine man is all crotchety on the phone, and his prize fighter Lee Doherty eats a sandwich.
The sub-Ernest Borgnine man?
Yeah.
I love that. His name is Pinky. He's played
Pinky
by
Schwab.
Pinky Schwab. He's played by Lionel Stander, and his voice is like if Burgess Meredith and Lawrence Tierney had a baby.
Yeah.
It is the most gravelly sandpaper voice, and it is one of my biggest sources of entertainment throughout the film. It was just listening wow, how much more gravelly can he get? Oh my god, it got even gravelier! I can't imitate the voice without permanently damaging my vocal cords. One last thing. Lionel Stander played Cup, the best character from Transformers the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he transform into a cup?
Sadly, no.
Oh, did he transform into, the penis kind of cup that protects your balls? Matilda's balls?
Yes, he did. Yeah, definitely. I actually do not remember what Cup transformed into.
And Elliot Gould is pitching an act over the phone. It's a knife-throwing act that includes fireworks and the American flag and sounds pretty damn entertaining.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the person he's pitching it to hangs up.
Absolute fool.
We find out that not Ernest Borgnine is Elliot Gould's brother-in-law, which is odd because they seem to have a 50-year age difference.
Yeah.
Pinky Schwab is on death's door.
I had a thought, by the way. There's discourse recently about a term that has become to be realized as very derogatory.
Yes.
Gay voice.
Okay.
I suggest that when referring to that kind of voice as a descriptive word that would be much less offensive, we call it Elliot Gould voice.
Okay, I guess I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
I feel like you're insulting Elliot Gould now,
No,
which I
absolutely.
take personally.
Absolutely not.
He's my godfather.
Elliot Gould is fantastic.
If my parents die, I have to go live with Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould is unquestionably fantastic, but he has that
No,
voice.
I understand. He has a bit of a lilt to his voice.
He has a bit of a lilt to his voice.
Very melodic.
It's very melodic. It's
It's
fantastic.
like a xylophone.
So now, instead of potentially marginalizing and insulting people who don't need that shit, you are complimenting them by comparing them to this incredibly dynamic and fantastic movie star.
You've probably seen Elliot Gould. If you've seen the original MASH film, he was Trapper John. He's in the Ocean's movies as the guy in the bathrobe. He is in the terrific film that I need to rewatch, The Long Goodbye. He's been in a ton of things.
Elliot Gould is fucking fantastic, and again,
Not in this film, because it's a shitty boxing kangaroo movie.
he is trying. God bless him. He
is
really trying. And as he himself said, that was a mistake. But
Yeah.
he is definitely trying. And there are scenes where he almost manages to be charming. And this introduction scene is one of those scenes.
Yeah.
Like, I would have absolutely bought this fucking knife act from him just based on
totally.
his own enthusiasm alone.
Also, Gould, who is the Bernie from Book with Bernie, owes Pinky money. And we also, bizarre detail that goes nowhere, find out that Pinky abuses Bernie's sister.
She's dead now.
Oh, is she? I did not catch that.
Yeah, he abused her, and now she's dead.
We do find out that Elliot Gould was an orphan, which is why Pinky took him under his wing.
The whole relationship seems way more complicated than this movie is willing to get into.
Yeah, I assume in
Yeah.
the book, like, there's characterization and deeper...
Apparently, the book opens with the exhibition fight that Matilda has
At the carnival?
At the carnival. So, for all we know, all of this is original material.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's why I didn't get... It was too much original material to get best adapted screenplay.
Oh no, missed it by that much.
They argue about boxing and whether Lee, who is the heavyweight champion of the world, is washed up because Pinky keeps having him dodge fights. This is why the fuck is the heavyweight champion of the world being managed by this low-rent crustball in this shitty little office that doesn't even have separate rooms?
We find out later that Pinky is connected with the mafia, which, makes sense. A lot of boxing is tied in with
That's
the mob.
actually a big part of this movie's
Big
quote-unquote
part of this
plot.
movie. But at the same time, like, you would think the mafia would be able to set him up in some better digs.
Yeah, or at least be giving him more money for doing this.
But yeah, Elliot Gould or Bernie, I always called him Elliot Gould because
fine.
why the fuck wouldn't I? But Bernie makes the point that boxing is... Nobody gives a shit about boxing anymore. And that has only become more true as time has gone on.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they shouldn't, because boxing sucks.
I appreciate just the baseness of boxing. Just two guys hitting each other.
Right.
There's something great about the purity of that.
I guess I grew up a fan of like Ultimate Fighting, and I just think that that's way more strategically interesting than boxing. But yeah, even kickboxing is more interesting. You have more things to hit with.
In walks Billy. Billy tells Bernie about Matilda. This is where we learn that Matilda is a he.
Yes.
And he is a boxing kangaroo and the greatest boxer in the world and like a son to Billy.
Which began to spin my wheels as to why the detail that Matilda is a boy.
I assumed that they built the costume first and were like, oh no, we added balls.
It just seems like such an odd detail. Did they
The only thing I can think of is it's like either it's animal misogyny where it's like there's no way a lady kangaroo can become heavyweight champion of the world. A boy kangaroo, sure.
We missed out on a feminist masterpiece because of the short-sightedness of these assholes.
Or it's a thing where it's like it's rude to hit a lady, even if it's a lady kangaroo.
Right. But then the other question is, why name the fucking thing Matilda?
I can only assume it's a reference to Waltzing Matilda, which we hear at the end.
Yeah, because I think the tagline in at least one of the countries was like Boxing Matilda or something.
Sure.
As an attempt to connect with that.
Bernie and Billy go to get Matilda out of dog jail.
Which is being presided over by the bus driver from the first Friday the 13th movie.
Fun.
Sorry, the truck driver.
And the dog catcher man, the dog warden. I don't know what the fuck this desk clerk is supposed to be.
We'll call him the dog warden. I like that one.
But he gives them shit like, oh, kangaroo, we got a bunch of kangaroos. And it's like...
Just needlessly mean.
It's just like, do you want us to get the kangaroo out of here? Do you like what the fuck is? Why are you giving me shit about this?
Do you want the kangaroo to stay here? What the fuck, dude?
And
you have enough problems with Crazy Ralph. You don't need the kangaroo here.
And they said, he said maybe she was gassed.
Yeah, and like even then, like when someone finally admits that the kangaroo was there, he's like, "I'm gonna gas her in a minute."
Yeah,
like it's
they really hate this kangaroo.
They don't just hate the kangaroo. They hate Billy and Bernie in particular. They are just mean asshole people.
Now, again, more interesting movie. We never see Matilda on the inside.
We don't know what Matilda had to do to survive.
I'm just saying, like, it sounds like at least the fucking wardens hate this kangaroo.
Yeah.
Good luck joining any race-based gangs.
Right.
Thank God. Oh my God! And because Matilda's such a good fighter, this would be this could be an awesome movie. Put Keanu Reeves in that suit. Put fucking Iko Uwais.
Sony Chiba is Matilda. We kept calling him a fucking... We kept calling him a fucking animal.
Yeah.
He just goes in.
But another better movie would be if this became a legal thriller.
Oh, Jesus
And it was like
Christ.
a race against the clock. They had to get the case together and make the appeal before Matilda's on death row. Oh no.
Instead of a talent agent, Elliot Gould is like this hotshot lawyer who's been disgraced by a recent failure, and now he's got to defend this guy, and he's like trying to figure out how to make his career work. But in the end, it becomes more about the little guy fighting against the system, fighting against the man. Still doesn't win an Oscar because the suit still sucks. But hey, it got close.
This kangaroo was a gift from God. You must let him fight.
You're out of order. The whole system's out of order.
We do get a mildly funny line from Gould, who is telling him, like, yeah, this kangaroo is like a son to this man. If this man's son was gassed, we're gonna sue.
While they're talking, some random lady who's there just runs in, grabs the football of their cause, and just runs all the way with it.
You'd think she would have been more aware, like, hey, there's a kangaroo in dog jail.
You would think. Because apparently she just hangs around there and then takes up random people's causes all the time.
She works with the SPCA.
Yes.
Her name is Kathleen. And Kathleen's real happy to spring this kangaroo, is okay with a man owning a kangaroo in an urban setting.
Right.
But is not okay with the boxing thing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's boxing a kangaroo in real life is not a good thing.
No. And it doesn't make sense that she's okay with someone owning a kangaroo, but it does make sense that she wouldn't be okay with the boxing.
Absolutely.
To which Elliot Gould has the great observation that anyone who cares about animal rights only does so because there's something missing from their lives. And they're empty and hollow on the inside. Because he's the protagonist.
Yes.
And we like him very much.
Bernie and Billy go to a boxing gym. Billy gets into the ring with Matilda and takes a hit to the face. The crowd loves it.
Yeah!
Another boxer gets in and is knocked out of the ring in one punch. Then another. Bernie makes a call to a client to pitch him on the roo and puts up $500 if any man can go 2 rounds with this kangaroo.
It's here that we start to realize how much the movie does not give 1/10 of a shit about Matilda, because during all this scene, the scene that, as we're describing it, you're imagining something really fun. You're imagining, oh man, this burly guy's gonna come up, and oh no, he got hit, and this burly guy's gonna come, oh no, he got hit. After, Matilda is barely ever in the frame whenever anything is happening, and even and after the interaction with Elliot Gould and he goes off to the phone, everything else that Brad just mentioned that happens with Matilda happens in the far background, out of focus, while we focus on Bernie making a phone call. Even in shots when it is Billy and Matilda together, the camera almost entirely crops Matilda out of the frame, basically treating the character as if it were a prop. Now, I understand not wanting to show off this suit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think they realized, like, oh no!
But you're showing the suit anyway, so...
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point?
Give us something fucking interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's a movie about a goddamn boxing kangaroo. I want to see this kangaroo box.
Right.
They leave, and the cabbie, whose cab they get into, is close with a big sports writer named Duke Parkhurst. They recruit the cabbie, Gordon, and cut him into their deal so he can do... what?
And then in
I suppose it's just like incentive, like, hey, hook us up with Parkhurst.
Right, yeah. But what does he get out of it?
Parkhurst or Gordon?
Gordon,
they give him points on Matilda.
They give him points on Matilda?
They cut him in for a percentage of the profits.
Oh, for a second there, I thought they were opening a Matilda rewards program.
No.
And then follows one of the most bizarre filmmaking moments in the movie, where they cut Gordon in on the deal.
Yes.
And then this wild circus music starts playing as we cut back and forth between entirely innocuous and bland shots of Billy, Bernie, and Gordon all just sort of blandly smiling while this hyper-energetic, crazy calliope of music is playing for what felt like 5 minutes, but was probably only 30 seconds. But it felt like 5 fucking minutes to me, as we just kind of cut between them with this wild dervish playing in the background.
I didn't even notice it.
I felt like I was going insane.
Here's what I did notice.
Okay.
In the back seat, Gordon and Matilda are like cuddling.
Billy and Matilda.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
No, Gordon got out of the front seat, laid a brick on the gas pedal.
Wait.
I need to cuddle that roo.
Wait, who is driving? Oh no, Kangaroo is driving. How can that be?
So Billy and Matilda are cuddling.
Yes.
And because it's not like an actual kangaroo, it's a man in a kangaroo suit.
Yeah.
Wrapping his arm around Billy.
Oh God.
I was like, they fuck. Like, starting this, I was like, I'm not going to make the obvious joke that they fuck.
Right.
But it sure seems like they fuck.
It definitely seems like they fuck.
I started out the movie and I was like, no, this is just weird because of the nature of it, but it's not sexual. No,
they fuck. Also, there's even a gay joke made about Matilda later on.
Yes,
but we'll see that. Also, I noted the unmoving, soulless eyes of Matilda.
Yeah.
They're a bit like big old glass stuffed animal eyes from the 70s. It is a horror to look at.
Bernie goes to talk to a lady playing a piano in a lounge or private club. We're not told. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The movie doesn't care. Why should you?
And this is maybe Bernie's girlfriend?
Maybe.
Who wants to be a big-time singer.
It is essentially like the scene from The Sting when he meets when Robert Redford goes to visit his stripper girlfriend there.
Sure.
It's basically the same scene, note for note, except for, way cheaper and bad.
You're talking about The Sting.
Yes, The Sting. The much worse boxing kangaroo movie. There isn't even a boxing kangaroo in the movie.
Oh, man. Bottom 5, just for that.
Bottom 5.
This is Tanya. Mm-hmm. Bernie apparently also is her agent. Mm-hmm. And he pitches Matilda as their way to the big time.
Also, while you're looking up images on the internet, while you're listening to this, Tanya Six is played by Roberta Collins, who has one of the most badass IMDb profile pics I have seen in a while.
She was in a bunch of women in prison movies in the 70s. She was Matilda the Hun in Death Race 2000.
She was Matilda the Hun?
Yes. Here's where Bernie gets the $500 that he's going to put up for the bet with Matilda. Mm-hmm. Now, if this movie wanted to, like, not be bland as shit, they could really play up how sleazy Bernie is.
Right.
But the music and Elliot Gould's geniality and the lack of, like, any sort of characterization is just sort of like, wow, he's shitty, but I don't care because no one else seems to care or comment on it or recognize it.
The movie doesn't have a point of view about him.
No.
It's like when we said about the Street Fighter. In the Street Fighter, the movie clearly understands and wants you to understand that Tsurugi is a bastard, is a bad guy. This movie doesn't seem to understand whether or not... And Up had a clear point of view where it clearly thought that its horrible characters were good, actually. But this movie has no idea and doesn't care whether Elliot Gould's character is good or bad. I would...
Clearly bad.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely
fucking
bad.
Terrible person.
But the movie doesn't care either way.
But it's weird because later, surprise, surprise, he's going to have a good guy conversion. But since the movie never really treated him as a bad guy...
Yeah, it's barely a conversion. It's really just he gets what he wants and it's fine.
Does he, though? We'll talk about this amazing ending.
But I will say, because of this, another movie that I never thought I would want to watch again, I would much prefer to watch Up 5 times before I would watch this movie again.
Next, they need to get a boxing license from Wild Bill Wildman.
Wild Bill Wildman, I feel ill.
In order to get in good, Bernie dresses up like a cowboy, similar to how Wildman dresses.
Yeah.
This is apparently supposed to be funny?
Comedy.
I guess because Elliot Gould is not a cowboy usually.
Right, yeah. No, there is something... it's
like they were like, put him in a hat.
Somewhat amusing about Elliot Gould attempting a southern accent.
But again, he's barely doing it. Like, if he went big and broad and it was like...
If there were any jokes in the scene, except for one, which is the aforementioned gay joke about Matilda.
Which we're about to get to. Wildman points out that Matilda's a strange name for a boy. He must have been fighting all his life like a boy named Sue, unless he's strange. Then, in case you didn't get it, he says, you know what I mean, strange? End of scene.
Just abruptly cuts on that gem of a line.
Gordon brings Duke Parkhurst, played by Robert fucking Mitchum, to the carnival.
Robert fucking Mitchum is in this movie.
And goddamn, I felt bad for us watching this movie. That does not compare to how bad I feel for Robert Mitchum.
For those who don't know, Robert Mitchum is one of the most iconic and respected actors potentially in Hollywood history.
Yeah.
Before the Robert De Niro version, he was the main antagonist in the original Cape Fear.
Also the antagonist in the fantastic Night of the Hunter.
Yes, which is where that whole right-hand, left-hand monologue from Do the Right Thing came from originally. Yes. He delivered that before Radio Raheem could get his hands on it. Robert Mitchum, like a lot of old Hollywood stars, as he got older, had what we would call... was been called in the modern day TikTokian parlance as Bones Days and No Bones Days. Occasionally he would get a script that he felt was worth his time and he would suddenly become the Robert Mitchum that we all knew and loved. And then a lot of the time, to pay the bills, he was working on movies like Matilda, in which he would have a lot of no bones days.
Yeah.
And
I think he's still fantastic in this movie, just because of his presence and his voice. And
Robert Mitchum is great.
Yeah.
But, Harrison Ford, when he doesn't give a shit, that's kind of the vibe. That's kind of the Robert Mitchum vibe in this movie.
All right.
Just sort of like a lot of like, yeah, well, let me go see this. Oh, man, there's a boxing kangaroo on stage. Holy shit, I can't believe it. He just knocked out the champ. Oh, my goodness.
I feel like Robert Mitchum had it put into his contract that he would not be in a scene with the kangaroo.
That's true. He never shares a shot with the kangaroo. I feel like it wasn't in his contract. They just knew if they got that suit too near to Robert Mitchum that some absolute Night of the Hunter violence was going to break out.
Children. But I forgot to mention that Bernie has also told Tanya to go on a date with Lee Doherty, the heavyweight champion of the world. Mm-hmm. And we see that their date is bringing Lee to this carnival. I wonder what's going to happen. This carnival where Matilda's boxing. So, inside...
This movie missed a step by not having Matilda's opening bout within the world not be Matilda facing off against Bonesaw.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean...
I know Bonesaw didn't exist before this movie, but I'm just desperately searching in my brain for anything to entertain me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You want to see a kangaroo get suplexed.
Yeah. I want a kangaroo, or at least a man in a kangaroo suit, to fight Bonesaw from Spider-Man the movie. That'd be great.
Inside the boxing ring, a Super 70s Alan Arbus-looking man announces Matilda, and Matilda gets into the ring.
Yeah.
Here's the first time we hear Matilda make noise. And you seem to have your own description of what Matilda sounds like.
Yeah.
Newt.
It sounds like a combination between the Pingu noise, newt newt, and sex. It's like Pingu making a sex noise. Newt newt.
At first, I described it as a honk.
Yes.
Matilda sort of honks.
Yes.
And sort of like when you get a dog toy and you don't like really squeeze it, you just sort of half squeeze it like,
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
like
yeah.
a little bit higher pitched. But I'm thinking of specifically like those origami animal dog squeakers.
Right. Yeah.
Just like a half squeeze on one of those. It's terrible. No, that's not what that sounds like at all. No, Matilda does not sound like that. That would be even worse. But Matilda it's horrifying every time it happens.
It's
like,
awful. As if the movie wasn't already intolerable enough.
The announcer says that anyone who can go 2 rounds with Matilda without being knocked down will win $500. Mm-hmm. And of course, because this movie is big about details, all contestants have to sign a waiver.
Yeah. We really needed to know about that.
Lee Doherty, who is in his cups, who's a little bit drunk.
He's a little bit toasted.
Challenges Matilda. Oh, by the way, I think this is the first... I don't know, maybe they mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
I wasn't paying a ton of attention during this movie. But here's where I realized that Lee is the heavyweight champion of the world.
Right.
Which, again, is confusing because he's managed by Ernest Krustman.
Ernest Krusty Krab. And also, he's just like a weirdly lanky dude to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Just doesn't seem like... He seems like a welterweight at best to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boxing expert Billy Martell weighing in.
It's not every day I get to use this side of me.
Matilda dodges the champ's punches and knocks him out with one punch. This fight lasts like 5 seconds.
As do most fights with Matilda.
And here's where I realize this is the movie Snatch.
What is the movie Snatch?
Okay, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. It was his second movie. Brad Pitt plays an Irish traveler, I think is the preferred term.
An Irish traveler, okay.
It's a group of people.
Oh, okay.
But he knocks people out with one punch. Mm-hmm. And Jason Statham recruits him as a boxer, but he has to throw fights, and he won't throw the fights, and they get involved with a British gangster, and
right.
pretty much Snatch.
Awesome. Okay,
because
I'm down.
It turns out that Lee is owned, I guess, like a slave.
Sure.
By a big mafia boss named Uncle No-No.
Just like in Hard Boiled, the crime boss is an uncle.
Yes.
To all of his men. And he sits in front of a wall-sized copy of The Last Supper.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Again, the religious themes run deep. It's like a Scorsese movie.
There's layers. There's layers to this movie. It's like an ogre.
So, here's where we find out that No-No is not happy that Lee was knocked out, because that's his boy.
That's his
is
boy.
Bad press. And not only was Lee knocked out, he was humiliated because Matilda apparently kissed Lee afterwards.
Which would have been good to show
That would have
in
been
the movie.
In your comedy movie, sure, show that. That's weird. But also, very inappropriate to Matilda. Maybe that's where Elliot Gould learned it, because he's going to force some kisses on some...
He is going to force some kisses later on in this movie.
Also, here's where I got a little confused, because they were talking like Matilda was now the heavyweight champion of the world in this scene.
Yeah, I was never clear on whether or not Matilda was or was not the heavyweight champion of the world going forward in this film.
But I guess he wasn't. Because then they
not.
had the title fight at the end?
Because it's an exhibition fight, so the title probably wasn't on the line.
Again, here's where it could have turned into a legal thriller.
Sure.
Put Matilda on the stand.
Yeah. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What do you think Matilda would ask to be sworn in on? Outback Steakhouse menu?
The Marquis of Queensberry rules.
Oh, okay,
in writing, of course, yeah. Which we do learn that is how she was trained.
Yeah,
he, to follow the Marquis of Queensberry rules. Uncle Nono, by the way, is played by Harry Guerardino, who is in a couple of their Dirty Harry movies.
Yeah.
He seems to be enjoying chewing the scenery in his scenes.
He also looks a lot like Eric Roberts.
Yeah, no, he
and I was like,
he definitely has a very Eric Roberts vibe.
And I was like, oh, Eric Roberts would have been so good in this part.
Well, he's not above being in horrible animal movies, as we know from A Talking Cat. So, he could absolutely be in the remake. Also, because I keep forgetting to mention it, the movie was directed by Daniel Mann, who seems to be a very respected director. But the only
he
thing
did Tea House of the August Moon. Worked with Brando.
Okay, so apparently he has made some stuff of note that you recognize. The only thing that he made that I recognized was the movie Willard, which is more famous for spawning a sequel, Ben, which was the inspiration for that Michael Jackson song that's more famous than any of the movies that we have ever talked about.
Yeah. No. Nono threatens to kill all of his mob goons the next time this kind of thing happens. Presumably the next time a kangaroo knocks out the heavyweight champion of the world.
Every Thursday with this kangaroo nonsense.
These guys would be on top of... They would all be the kings of New York if only kangaroos didn't keep knocking out the heavyweight champion of the world.
Christopher Walken's King of New York. Another terrible boxing kangaroo movie. I thought I saw a boxing kangaroo in this one, but it turned out it was just Christopher Walken. Color me disappointed.
Next, we see that Pinky is kicking Bernie out of the office, resetting his desk into the hall. I guess that's a joke. I
guess. I think the joke is that Bernie won't get off the phone while they're moving him out of the office. Oh, yeah. Which is funny in theory.
And Pinky warns Bernie that he's getting the wrong people mad. Bernie goes to meet Parkhurst, and Parkhurst tells Bernie that Lee is owned by Nono. And Parkhurst is trying to put Nono out of business because he's corrupting boxing. And I guess that's going to be our reason for doing things.
He asks Bernie if he's interested in helping him out, and Bernie says, "Is Rolls interested in Royce?" Which prompted me to spontaneously yell, "Fuck off," at my TV screen.
Parkhurst will make their act big. They'll do the fights. He'll write about them.
Yeah, they are getting something out of it. It's not any kind of civic duty.
And he also tells Bernie that he stands to make $1 million.
Right. Oh, also, the movie was written by the creator of Walker, Texas Ranger, so a lifetime of mediocrity.
So, they were like, how can I take the martial prowess of this kangaroo, but portray it through a human?
There's only one man. There's only one man powerful enough and homophobic enough for me to make my show around. Get me, Mr. Bowflex.
But first, Bernie has to take care of the SPCA lady.
He has to take care of her because Robert Mitchum has figured out she's filing an injunction against them.
Yes.
Even though she hasn't been in the movie for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's sort of like going through the time tunnel. Just sort of...
We've watched some pretty long movies for the show either way. This movie's actually shorter than most movies we've covered.
Yeah.
Felt like a million years.
So Bernie decides the best way to do this is to gaslight the woman a bit. Mm-hmm. He walks past her door one morning with many, many large dogs as she is about to walk her small dog. Bernie tries to sweet talk her. He compares Matilda's need to fight to sex drive.
It really does feel like, and I know the movie is like trying to say that Elliot Gould is charming, and of course Elliot Gould is charming, Bernie isn't, but is trying to say that Bernie is charming and is trying to make it seem like he's some sort of Lothario here and is really getting to her. But the actress is not playing it like she's interested, and also
No.
he has nothing that he's doing is charming or attractive in any way.
No, and it's also immediately transparent, which
Yeah.
again could be funny and interesting and an interesting character piece. This could just be a movie about like this ineffectual idiot,
Right.
who's like nothing. He's thinks he's clever, but he's not.
Like a Michael Scott character who just like thinks he's so good, but he's actually just the cringiest man alive.
Sure.
Yeah.
The SPCA lady is not moved. There's lifeless banter. Bernie is bit by one of the dogs. There's going to be a running gag about a shoe in this movie that we're not going to cover.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Here's where I noted sometimes I lob a grenade at Billy. And this time I pulled the pin, held it, and told him to come look.
Is this movie our suicide pact?
I mean, depends on how this episode ends.
As if Gould couldn't be any less charming. This movie is really putting our love of Elliot Gould through the ringer.
Yeah.
When she does not acquiesce to his demands in this scene, he tells the cab drivers, it's Gordon, right? Who like drove
Yeah.
there. He tells Gordon, she doesn't care about animals really. She's only filing this injunction and doing all this to get back at me personally. And what a charmer. What an absolute gem.
Yeah.
What a gem of a human being. God.
Bernie gets Gordon to sell his cab, and the crew hits the road with Gordon driving their van. Their van, which has a little fucking bubble for Matilda to look out of.
Yes. Another thing about this movie that seems like I think we actually saw the picture of that like little pop-o-matic bubble
I'm
on
not sure.
Google Images when we were looking at it. And I remember thinking, great, the kangaroo has a kangaroo mobile. This movie's going to be awesome.
That if you can teach a kangaroo to box, you can teach a kangaroo to drive a car.
Absolutely. It's got big fucking forearms like that.
Another better movie is that like it's about these people trying to exploit Matilda, and Matilda just becomes too powerful. Like he can fight, he can drive. Oh no, he's got a gun. And then they have to go back to the dog jail. And like, you guys are the only ones who know how to take him down. You got him once, you can get him again. Get the gas! But they go across the country having fight-em-ups. Mm-hmm. There's some heavy McDonald's product placement where they stop by McDonald's and they get some sundaes for Matilda and some random children who are not screaming in terror.
Well, and then here's two questions I have about this. The opening, not the opening, but the first fight, the exhibition fight.
Yeah.
They made a big deal about having to lie to get the boxing license for Matilda. Are they lying in every state they go to? Are they making shit up every single time? Or has Matilda's fame spread so far and so wide that everyone's just chopping at the bit to allow this kangaroo to fight in their state?
I don't know. I don't think the people who made the film know.
Right.
I don't think anyone cared.
Sure.
I think they were just like, Parkhurst did it.
Yeah, exactly. The power of Robert Mitchum, ladies and gentlemen.
And the power of McDonald's.
The power
and their
of McDonald's.
delicious sundaes.
Also, the movie, 2 seconds ago, it was incredibly important, vital even, that Kathleen's injunction not happen. Mm-hmm. We really needed to make nice with Kathleen. Bernie failed to do that, and next thing we see is just them having a grand old time on a road trip.
Yeah.
So apparently, that was not important at all. In fact, there's a throwaway line in a couple of minutes where Kathleen just says, oh yeah, they rejected my injunction. So why was Robert Mitchum worried? Because nobody cared.
Because you have to have some sort of conflict or an appearance of plot.
This
movie is just Potemkin Village after Potemkin Village.
The appearance of plot. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
The appearance of plot.
So at the next location, the SPCA lady, Kathleen, has put up little banners about animal cruelty over Matilda's promotional posters at the venue. So anybody who would see them is already there and presumably has tickets. Doesn't seem like a great plan.
Also, apparently she's the only person who works for the SPCA in
Or
this
the only
universe.
person who cares.
Yeah, because she's just, like, personally following them from town to town just to give them minor inconveniences, like putting dumb stickers on their shit.
Also a better movie. Just show us, like, make the movie about the road trip across country with this kangaroo and this motley band that has been cobbled together.
Sure. Oh no, the kangaroo has to shit and we're stuck in traffic. What are we gonna do? You know?
Yeah. Elliot Gould talks to her. They're in Oklahoma. Thanks for fucking telling us. Kathleen is doing her best to fight them at every turn, and wouldn't you know it, her brother is the boxing commissioner for the state of California, and their next fight is in Los Angeles.
Oh no!
I don't care. Why is there not more Matilda? I'm here for Matilda.
Right.
Okay, here's where things get fucked up. Here's why this movie should not be rated G.
Mm-hmm.
At the hotel, Bernie commandeers a room service trolley and invades Kathleen's room.
Yes.
She has just come out of the shower. He tells her she's pretty, pours some champagne, drinks it, pours her one. She throws it in his face. In response, he forces a kiss on her.
Multiple kisses.
Well, hold on. She slaps him, and then he does it again and tells her not to scream because that's not friendly. What the fuck is this Bobby Peru shit?
Oh, God. It's so fucked up because he says the same sentence every time he kisses her about it not being friendly to scream. Yeah. He says the exact same sentence word for word, and I think he forces a kiss on her like 3 or 4 times and says the exact same sentence word for word every single time. It's like a Scientology brainwashing thing mixed with sexual assault. It's so fucking insane.
It's so, like, it's... Here's the really fucked up thing about this movie. Because nothing matters and no one's trying, while this should be, like, horribly upsetting, it's sort of just like... And it's upsetting to us because we're watching it in 2022.
Yeah.
But other than knowing that it's wrong, I'm just sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm horrified, but not because of any skill of the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm horrified because... no one seems to realize this is wrong.
Right, yeah. No, the movie doesn't realize it's wrong. It's treated the same way as, well, James Bond raping a lesbian straight in Goldfinger. It's just treated as like, oh, isn't that quirky and romantic? Like, it's just, no, it's not. It's assault.
Bernie tries to guilt Kathleen that she's not worried about people. People like Billy, who is poor and only has an animal to exploit.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've ever learned that Billy is not financially well.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time we've ever learned that this is something that Billy needs to do or else he'll be destitute and starving in the streets.
Another better movie, sort of like Midnight Cowboy, but with a man and his kangaroo, just trying to survive on the mean streets of New York.
I thought you were going to say the
Everybody's hopping at me.
I thought you were going to say it's like the bicycle thief. With
sure.
Billy and his bicycle going... Billy and his kangaroo going
Someone
around.
steals his kangaroo.
Someone steals his kangaroo. Oh, no.
Oh, no, my kangaroo!
And then he and his kid, played by Elliot Gould, go around.
Now I'm imagining Elliot Gould, like, walking on his knees. Like
Like Gary Oldman in Tiptoes. Yeah. The whole month is coming together.
Cut to the mob goons. The comedy mob goons plan to bushwhack Matilda. Matilda comes hopping by, I guess, on a training run with Billy. This is where they throw a net over Matilda.
Oh, I didn't remember this scene.
And there are hijinks. They try to free the one mobster who is trapped, but accidentally free Matilda. You don't remember it because it sucks.
Oh,
and there's
okay.
no point to it.
All right.
This is easily the worst movie we watched for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Later at a match, Matilda once again knocks a contender out with one punch.
Yeah.
The original One Punch Man.
The original One Punch Man. Also, we don't get what you would imagine would be for the road trip sequence. We just see them sort of driving around and seeing what cities they visit.
Yeah.
Once again, very little of Matilda. You would imagine that there would be like a montage of ding, 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 and then you see one guy fall over and another guy fall over and another guy fall over or something like that. Again, movies in the 1930s had perfected this style of montage. It's not like I'm ascribing modern-day filmmaking techniques to a 70s film.
No.
I'm ascribing filmmaking techniques that were already very much around that they could have utilized. But instead, this is the first time we've seen Matilda box since the exhibition.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same situation of just like dodge, one punch, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, what the fuck?
Next, we move on to Los Angeles, and Bernie goes to talk to Kathleen's brother. Bernie argues that Matilda has knocked out Lee Doherty and 11 other men, but Kathleen refuses to allow such a freak show to occur in California, which I feel like was a joke that was hilarious in the 70s and probably is still hilarious to people now.
Maybe.
Bernie shouts that he doesn't run this world because he doesn't own it.
Yeah.
And again, this could be a great moment. It's like, well, no shit, I don't own it. I'm a boxing commissioner. Like, just him just grabbing at anything to throw in his face. Like,
right. If the movie had, again, a point of view about Elliot Gould, is Elliot Gould a scrappy little guy who's fighting against the man for the sake of his poor friend? Or is he a complete lunatic who just has delusions of grandeur? Pick a side, movie. Make me care either way. Holy shit.
Back at the van, Bernie says, take him to Herman Kaplan, a convenient friend who runs a big advertising agency.
Yeah.
Do we see a scene of those two talking? No.
No.
Instead, we just see Elliot Gould running out shouting, I did it! I did it! And Matilda is there with his balls out. Here's where I got pretty confuddled. They booked Matilda on a television event where they'll fight.
Yeah.
But I never really understand what this is supposed to entail. He's going to fight Cyclone Jones, I think. But there's like I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah, I fully didn't understand this.
Back at National Lampoon's Mafia House, No gives a presentation about why kangaroos are superior fighters. I could explain this scene, but it's too convoluted and not funny.
Yeah.
This is where they talk about how they need to chop off the tail.
Yes.
Because that's gives the kangaroo an unfair advantage.
I will point out that there seems to be some sort of implication that the kangaroo will fall over without its tail.
And not just die.
Kangaroo can get around without tails. Many kangaroos don't have tails.
Really? I didn't know that.
I was curious, so I was desperate to do anything but watch this movie. So while I was watching the movie, I was also looking up YouTube videos of kangaroos.
Well, these aren't bright mobsters.
Yeah.
And two, they didn't have the internet back then.
That's very true.
What are they going to go to the New York Public Library and get a kangaroo book?
This might be the most incompetently made movie that has actors from The Godfather in it.
Yeah.
Including one of these mobsters, the one who's going to try and chop off the kangaroo's tail.
Mark Antony.
Is Luca Brasi. Yeah.
Is that Luca Brasi?
It's Luca Brasi.
Oh, I thought he looked familiar, but...
Yeah. Yeah, he's Luca Brasi from The Godfather, and the producer of this movie is the producer of The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. So, your Godfather joke earlier, surprisingly prescient.
Oh, man. And he's about to try to carry out a hit on Matilda right now.
Yeah. And I have to say, the sudden shocking brutality of just Luca Brasi coming around the corner with a fucking fireman's axe, getting ready to mutilate this kangaroo, was the most invested in the movie I had been in, well, since it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kanga crew go to a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
No ups for that pun.
The Kanga crew.
Oh.
No, that was good. I like it.
Bernie gets a note from Kathleen saying she's sorry the fight was called off. Why would she be sorry? Why would it's just so fucking it's not even contrived. Like, it's just like...
We forgot to mention that this was set up by, after he's done assaulting her and he leaves, she has a little smirk at the end of that scene, like, oh, he's so cute. So this is based off of that, where she's because
she wants to have dinner with him, the man who assaulted her.
See, she's really been following him around because she likes him. You see, Elliot Gould...
She's pulling on his pigtails.
Right. Elliot Gould's comment about no one really caring about animals is because, as we've established, the filmmakers do not care about Matilda. They don't care about animals at all. Animals are props in this movie, so they can't imagine that anyone in the audience or anyone in real life would ever care about an animal. Therefore, Kathleen does not care about animals. She cares about that Elliot Gould dick.
Here's where I ask, why is this happening? Why is this happening in my beautiful Elliot Gould boxing kangaroo movie?
You ruined it. You ruined everything.
So Gould goes up to the SPCA lady's room. He brings her a rose. Are we supposed to want them to get together? What about the woman Gould was gaslighting, the piano lady, Tanya?
Oh, she's absolutely gone from this movie. At the minute that she was used to get... Oh, no, she does have one more scene.
She comes back.
She does come back in one more scene. I forgot.
Bernie's pretending to be drunk. He's trying to evoke pity. Tells Kathleen that he's a loser, and for some dumb reason, she tells him he's not.
Yeah.
And hypes him up.
Yep.
Calls him great. She gives him a back rub.
Yeah.
Fucking hate this movie.
And
they're in love now, I guess.
I put down a note, every moment in this movie is an insult to cinema.
It's an insult to, like, the idea that they're portraying humans.
Yeah. No, it's an insult to humanity. It's an insult to good taste.
Some undeterminable amount of time later, the two mobsters try to cut off Matilda's tail. Mm-hmm. One of them asks for his autograph. Yes. Why? No reason. Doesn't seem to be necessary to the plan because they already had their backs turned.
Right.
And if Billy hadn't stopped to wipe off... I guess they knew that Matilda gave autographs by putting his paw on an ink pad, and then... So they figured Billy would have to wipe the ink off, which...
I thought if I was going to give any kind of compliment to anything in this movie, the ink pad paw thing for an autograph is kind of cute.
I mean, granted, it's a fucking... I'm surprised they didn't just have the human grab it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, given the way this movie has treated Matilda up until now, I wouldn't be surprised if they totally pulled that. And honestly, now that I think about it, would have been far more entertaining if they did do that.
Absolutely.
So never mind. Fuck this movie again.
The other mobster goes to chop off the tail, but... He hits the axe on a conveniently placed ladder on top of a van. Mm-hmm. The axe head goes flying and hits the other mobster in the head. And the axe mobster is hit in the face with Matilda's tail.
The other mobster, by the way, is hit with the axe in a way that doesn't cut him at all. It's just like a Three Stooges boing sort of thing. And again... would have saved this movie if the axe head had just been like fully embedded in his skull and we just got like...
I wish someone got killed in this movie.
Yeah, lone wolf and cub blood squirts coming out of his forehead.
I wish Matilda just put his fucking Rue fist through, like... I wish he was One Punch Man, just like absolutely murdering motherfuckers.
Can you imagine
like Ricky owing people?
Exactly. Like that was... They're like, oh man, this is why animals shouldn't be in the ring with humans, because he's just like absolutely eviscerating motherfuckers. He just fully skins a dude in one scene.
Next we see, I guess Matilda and Billy are doing some sort of like sketch on like maybe a talk show or something.
No, it's the TV show that they booked.
Why the fuck do they have a little skit? Why do they have a cold open
again
for this kangaroo boxing event?
Again, I watched Walk Hard, a Dewey Cox Story way too closely to watching Matilda for me to take this scene.
And then after the dumb sketch is over, where Billy is not a good actor, even though in the voiceover he told us he did great.
Unreliable narrator.
Oh, this is Fight Club. Matilda and Billy are the same people.
Oh no! First rule about Fight Club: do not talk about the kangaroo.
Matilda fights Cyclone Roberts, a famous boxer who is quickly dispatched by Matilda.
Yes.
Again, lots of build-up, no action.
Mm-hmm. It's like an episode of Smallville.
And Kathleen is also watching and is upset for some reason, even though presumably she knew. Bernie never said this wasn't going to happen. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't care.
There are no stakes. None of the characters are people. It's just, God damn it.
We're almost done, though.
We are almost done. This is going to be a real short episode.
I am legitimately sad the movie is this bad.
I know.
Like, I wanted this to be good. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be good, but I was hoping at least be entertaining in any aspect.
There is bad, and there is so bad it's good.
Yes.
The Ed Wood movies are famously so bad they're good, and that's because while they are incompetently made, the kind of incompetence on display is just genuinely entertaining in how earnest they are. The difference between a good bad movie and a bad movie more often than not, in my experience, comes down to the intent of the filmmaker. If the filmmaker was earnestly trying to make a movie and just fucked up, there's something endearing about that, and there's something that makes you want to watch that movie and enjoy it, even if it's just for how bad it is. If the movie is made by some cynical fuck who's, again, trying to launder some money through the studio system, in the case of a movie like this, and I would argue something like movies that I consider to be the worst movies I've ever seen, like Man of Steel and Jerry Maguire, that's so much worse. It doesn't matter how much money you had behind the film and how much money you spent stapling a pair of random testicles to a horrible kangaroo costume.
I don't think they were stapled. I think they were like
lovingly crafted.
Yeah, those are the only things on the fucking roo that look lovingly crafted.
They look weirdly realistic on such a horribly unrealistic costume.
But I also made a note of, oh, by the way, do you want to hear my mashup of Man of Steel and Jerry Maguire?
Absolutely.
Show me the Christ allegory! But here's the best possible version of this movie. Okay. If you're going to have this a nightmare suit,
right?
Well, let me.
It's a big hurdle to get over for this movie.
Granted, before I get into that, let me jump back.
Okay.
I'm not sad that this was not a good, bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted a fucking boxing kangaroo movie,
yeah.
Not this stupid Bernie movie.
That's a good point.
If this were just a movie, like I said, I didn't expect it to be good because no one fucking talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
But just give me a lot of a boxing kangaroo, and I would have been content.
Right. If this movie had just been like a really bad Beethoven movie.
Sure. Or an Air Bud movie or whatever the fuck.
Or an Air Bud movie or whatever the fuck, where you have like a good portion of the film is dedicated to showing this funky animal doing funky animal shit. That would be fine. But the movie is just absolutely allergic to giving us what we fucking want.
Yeah.
This fucking animal.
Now, here's the best possible version of this movie. If you have this horrible looking suit.
Yeah.
This should have been a movie about a washed up fighter, or like not a washed up fighter because they still have to be good.
Okay.
But like a fighter who is blackballed or can't fight for whatever reason, and this small time talent agent, and maybe the Billy character's there for whatever reason as a trainer or whatever.
Sure.
You have the boxer dress up in this shitty costume, and it becomes like, okay, you can't show your face, so get into this costume, and we're going to promote you as this boxing kangaroo so you can fight.
That sounds awesome, actually. Yeah.
And because it's the 70s,
yeah,
and kangaroo, like, people knew what kangaroos look like, but presumably, I don't know, I feel like you could dupe people in the 70s being like, no, that's what kangaroos look like.
Well, there are definitely bits of this movie where Elliot Gould is depicted as a sort of fast-talking, like, can sell us.
Don't say it.
I realized immediately what I was about to say. Sorry about that. But yeah, you could sell anything to anyone kind of dude. And it would be... I could absolutely see him as like a music man. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like the Music Man type of character, and just being like, we're going to put you in this suit. And he's like, okay, I'll put on the suit. And then he's like, oh, see this kangaroo. And it's like, is that really a kangaroo? Mister, I've spent so many years in the outback braving the tundra and the gigantic spiders that they have in Australia. And I can tell you this is the finest specimen of Kangaroos cadunculus that I have ever seen. Like making up medical terms and
shit. And it would make the Kathleen stuff so much funnier because she could like give it a hard... She's not used to fucking working with kangaroos. She could give it a hard look and be like, I guess I have to save this animal.
She's trying to save this animal, and meanwhile, the boxer inside the kangaroo suit is falling in love with her from a distance, and it becomes... And he's writing love letters that she thinks is coming from Elliot Gould, and it becomes a Cyrano de Bergerac situation.
And, like... Elliot Gould keeps trying to go on dates with her, and the kangaroo's always, like, hopping along. And because the SPCA lady loves animals, she's like, no, bring him along!
Yeah, bring him along! Oh man, this movie's great.
Yeah, let's make this movie.
Yeah, let's make that movie instead of this one.
Kathleen is watching and is upset. I don't care why. I think I mentioned that.
Yes.
Bernie and Billy meet with Parkhurst. He tells them the championship fight is on, but it's going to be a free fight to benefit charity. It was the only way they could get Lee to agree. Billy is willing to do whatever Bernie wants, And here's, like, Billy's really laying it on thick, like, oh, I trust you. Which, again, if Bernie were a shittier dude, we could be like, oh, no, Billy, don't do it. But, again, he's just so bland, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And Bernie goes ahead with this idea. He's not going to get his $1 million he was promised, but for whatever reason, let's do the fight so we can clean up boxing, which I guess is the message of the movie the entire time.
I guess. One last note about Robert Mitchum, because this is like his last big scene. He has like one other bit of dialogue, but that's about it. One good thing that came out of this for Elliot Gould, other than, his paycheck, is that every day he and Robert Mitchum would have sandwiches together.
Oh, yeah?
And smoke a joint together.
I was just about to ask if they got high together.
They did.
That's
they
wonderful.
did indeed. According to Elliot Gould, he got high with Robert Mitchum every day on the set of Matilda.
That's beautiful.
And that sounds like a great time.
Now
high
I'm
with Robert Mitchum.
Now I'm picturing, because you said they ate sandwiches, like giant Scooby-Doo sandwiches.
Yeah.
And Robert Mitchum would just like unhinge his jaw and eat it in one bite.
Night of the Sandwich Hunter, am I right?
Next, we get a training montage of Matilda and Lee training. And here we're told that Tanya has become Lee's girl. Matilda eats another McDonald's sundae. And it would be a great twist if Matilda died from eating people food.
That would be a fantastic twist.
Like right before the big match, Matilda's just laying dead and bloated.
And that's when
Billy gets into the suit.
That's when Billy gets into the suit. They have to skin Matilda and make a kangaroo suit.
What could happen in our movie is like Kathleen finds some food that kangaroos eat, and she's like, oh, feeds it to the boxer, but it's something the boxer is allergic to,
right?
And he dies because no one can see him being asphyxiating inside the suit.
Yeah.
And that's when Billy has his comeback.
Oh my god.
Okay, here's where the God thing comes back. Yes. And here's where Elliot Gould tries his goddamnedest.
He's trying. God bless him.
And again, he's working against this character having nothing going on, having no. Here's the start of the slight good guy conversion. Bernie goes to have a midnight chat with Matilda in Matilda's stable or wherever the fuck he's kept.
And again, because this movie has been so allergic to showing Matilda ever, this is one of the only scenes in the movie that Elliot Gould shares with Matilda at all.
Yes.
There are 5 scenes total.
And he's getting real deep and reflective, and he asks who made Matilda and why, and how did he get such talent. It's a pep talk. It's a benediction. It's very heartfelt. It's meant to be very heartfelt.
It's meant to be.
And like I said, Gould is doing his goddamnedest, and all I can do is laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's a grown man talking to this shitty kangaroo and trying to be you're one. The doctors have come from distant cities. Just Wonder by Natalie Merchant should be fucking playing during this scene.
There's a thing that you get told as a young actor that you just have to grind. You just have to grind. You have to accept every part that comes your way, and that's how you make it. And more and more I've heard from actors who have actually made it that no, you don't have to do that.
No,
you don't
that
have to.
That ruins your career.
You don't have to do that. That kind of sinks you. And saying no is actually incredibly powerful. And I think that Elliot Gould was, when he refused to let someone buy him out of this contract and tried to swing for the fences here, was I'm gonna be one of those actors who's just absolutely a workhorse, actually absolutely shows up. And it's sometimes there are movies even Michael Caine would say no to. You shouldn't do them.
Oh man, Michael Caine should have been in this movie.
I could see Michael Caine playing Elliot Gould's part. Honestly, I could absolutely see it.
In a different movie, he would have been a great Pinky.
Yes.
Now listen here, you dumb fuck. You take your boxing kangaroo and you get the fuck out of this sport.
My sister-in-law loved you, and I gave you a spot in my office out of the goodness of my heart.
Not
many people know that.
Next, Bernie meets with the 2 tail-chopping mobsters, one of whom is Luca Brasi. They take Bernie for a ride at gunpoint. They take him to Uncle No-No, who offers him to trade the slave contract of Lee Doherty for the slave contract of Matilda. Would you give away your Matilda? Would you sell your Matilda in exchange for a human being?
I don't think so, especially in exchange for that particular human being.
Yeah.
He hasn't proven himself to be extremely useful over the course of the film.
No. Although, he's going to be. He's going to show his prowess pretty soon.
He's going to show his prowess pretty soon. But this spirals into a debate about the ethics of being a mafia don.
Did it? I was pretty tuned out by this point.
Yeah, no, they're debating back and forth, and then Elliot Gould's like, no, and the mafia's like, you got guts, kid. And then they start
moxie.
And then they just start debating the ethics of being a mafia boss and how and does that make him any different from Elliot Gould or not? Like, we're two sides of the same coin. During which, by the way, they just explicitly play the Godfather theme.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So the connections between this movie and The Godfather run even deeper.
People call this the Godfather of boxing kangaroo movie.
They do indeed. They do indeed.
Bernie refuses because he's a good guy now.
I guess so.
No threatens to raid the training camp and kill Billy and Matilda.
I forgot about that.
Which, give me that fucking scene. Give me that scene where mobsters raid the training camp and Matilda's just knocking them out left and right. And fucking Billy can get on the action too. Welterweight champion of the British Isles, Billy the Burmese kid.
Right.
Fucking coming out to protect his goddamn Roo.
Doing it.
But Bernie points out that No is too smart for that. It'd bring down too much heat. So thank God we had that conversation.
Right. And at that point, not only is No like not going to do anything more to cause him any trouble, he's fully on board the Matilda train.
He places $1 million bet on Matilda.
$1 million bet.
Now we're in Reno. Baby's in Reno with the vitamin C. Got a couple of couches, sleep on the love seat. Some keep saying I'm insane to complain about a shotgun wedding. Do you know what that is?
Yes, at least I can hear it in my head. I don't remember the name of the
Loser
song.
by Beck.
That's it, yes. One of my favorite songs.
Clearly.
No, I'm serious. It's one of my favorite songs.
Next we're in Reno and it's fight night. The announcer mentions a bunch of rumors that have been flying that don't matter and no one gives a shit.
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
Parkhurst is there. No is there. Now, backstage, a wrinkle's going to happen. And this is going to be the emotional crux of this final fight.
The writers of the movie suddenly realize, oh shit, there are no stakes. So they add some.
Billy tells Bernie that if a kangaroo is hit, they won't fight anymore, which I'm pretty sure is a goddamn lie.
Yeah, it is. That's stupid. That's something.
So what'll happen is if Lee, and he gives a speech about how kangaroos fight in nature, but it's just for funsies, I guess, and they stop after they're hit.
If a kangaroo ever hits another kangaroo, the kangaroo who is hit not only will stop fighting immediately, but will never fight again. So
they understand the impact of violence.
I guess.
Because they are God's creatures. Mm-hmm. They are purer than us.
Sure.
Has a kangaroo ever declared war? Has a kangaroo ever built an atomic bomb? Has a kangaroo ever fired a cannon?
To my knowledge.
Has a kangaroo ever wielded a saber?
Now, that last one, probably.
I hope so. Fix one to the tail?
I don't know. I mean, given the way how articulated the fingers are on the kangaroo in this movie, they probably could just wield one with their hand.
Listen, I know I'm getting a little off base with my better Matilda movies, but Matilda is a swashbuckling pirate.
Sure.
But if Lee hits Matilda first, or if Lee hits Matilda at all, because it's assumed that Matilda will knock Lee out immediately.
Right.
But if Lee hits first, then Matilda will just freeze and Lee will murder the beast. Lee will not stop punching until Matilda is dead, just like a pulp on the tarpaulin.
Yeah. So, yeah, Matilda has knocked out every other boxer that he's gone up against with one punch without ever getting hit this entire time. And now they're worried because they're going up against a champion, and the last time they went up against him, he was three sheets of the wind. Yeah, they're a bit worried, and again, this shit comes right the fuck out of nowhere. This was not set up in any way by the film preceding it.
And Billy's like, oh, all the other people we faced were washed up, like I knew Matilda would win.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. It was enough for me. It was enough for me to be invested in this fight.
Really, because my very next note is, I'm so bored I can't spend the energy to raise my eyes to the TV screen anymore.
Matilda and Lee enter the ring. Matilda entering, of course, to waltzing Matilda.
Of course.
We see Matilda's balls again, and I wish everyone's reaction to Matilda was just disgust and fear.
I wish that they'd made Matilda wear boxer shorts.
Well, he has the fucking elastic band of the boxing short around his kangaroo waist.
He has a little
but without
Everlast.
the shorts.
Yeah, he's a little Everlast belt, but he doesn't have the shorts, and that would be so much funnier if they just gave him boxing shorts.
The referee, we for some reason told the referee's name. It is George Latka. I wish it was Andy Kaufman's Latka from Taxi.
Thank you very much.
You stupids. It is time for you to punch each other. Also, what the fuck happened to Gordon? Gordon's just out of this goddamn movie.
Gordon's gone.
Until the Animal House-esque recap at the end. All right. The fight begins. Matilda gets in some hits, knocks Lee down. Lee gets up. Mm-hmm. Man, we can really see Matilda's balls. Lee gets knocked down again and the round ends. This is the longest anyone's ever gone against Matilda. And you have to remember, all I wanted from this movie is a goddamn boxing kangaroo, and I finally get it.
That's true.
I finally get it, Billy. This is what I've wanted from the movie.
This is very true. So I can see why you were a little bit more invested. Here's my question. If kangaroos only punch each other once, and every kangaroo after being punched once stops fighting immediately, why does Matilda not stop punching the champ after punching him once?
This is why Matilda had to leave the Outback, because he was too fucking savage.
The dude's got no mercy.
The dude has got no mercy.
We're bringing it back.
So they go back to their corners. Billy and Matilda hug, and even though they clearly fuck, I got a very strong sense of pity and empathy for Matilda. This is a scared animal. Mm-hmm. Normally, he just knocks the person out. He's never had to do it this much. This is a dumb, stupid, soulless animal.
No one's ever gone the distance with Matilda.
Round 2. Matilda is still running this match. Mm-hmm. Matilda knocks Lee out of the ring, but apparently you can just do that in boxing. And it's not like it's just not over
or something. By the way, during this fight, Matilda blocks several punches, which I think completely negates the one punch rule, but fuck it. Who cares?
Matilda has a good D. Matilda has a good defense.
Good defense. I thought you were going to say Matilda has a good dick.
No. We don't see that. How are we going to know? We see the balls. We see the balls. We don't see the dick.
They ask Billy about Matilda's dick, and he does the same hand motions from Shape of Water.
It's not the end of the match. Round 3. As soon as round 3 is declared, Matilda just hops into Lee's corner and punches the fuck out of him.
Matilda wants this fight over with.
Lee gets up. More boxing. Here's where I noted I'm actually kind of engaged. Matilda keeps hitting Lee, just pummeling this stupid asshole over and over. In any other boxing match, this would be a fucking massacre.
Oh, yeah.
Lee is down again. Round 4. The crowd is now on Lee's side because it's such a fucking massacre.
It's such a massacre. And I honestly, right before that they showed that the audience was on Lee's side, I wrote down, Jesus, I'm starting to root for Lee. Because, holy shit, he's getting murdered out there. It's not even a joke.
And here becomes the part where I started to get really started to vibe emotionally with this movie.
Okay.
The crowd is now on Lee's side. Uh-huh. Matilda's still fucking just shoe-shining this dumb bitch. Until Lee finally lands a punch on Matilda. Mm-hmm. Matilda is stunned, but before anything else... And Lee is stunned, too, because it's oh shit, I got this punch. And they sort of look at each other, and before Lee can punch again, Bernie throws in the fucking towel.
Yes.
Tosses the white towel into the ring.
Yes.
And here's again... if they had built his character up as more of a sleazebag, this could be a nice moment where he's like, I fucking care about this animal.
This could have been more powerful. I didn't even notice. I assumed that Billy had thrown the white flag. I did not realize it was Bernie who did it.
It was Bernie.
That is a little bit powerful.
Lee wins. Billy and Matilda embrace. Kathleen and Bernie embrace. Then Kathleen tells Bernie she loves him.
Gross.
Because it's in the script.
Yeah, because it's in the script and for no other reason.
No has lost millions of dollars, and here's what you were alluding to before. Parkhurst talks about how the audience became threatened by Matilda's dominance, which is why they cheered for Lee in the end. There's a moment, and here's the moment that really got to me. Mm-hmm. Matilda is leaving. Waltzing Matilda is playing and getting faster and faster. We know Matilda will never fight again. Mm-hmm. The crowd is clapping along to the song. Lee gives a salute. Lee raises his gloves into the air.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could have been a shitty but sort of good sports movie.
Yeah.
Which is Indomitable Spirit meets Indomitable Spirit, and
which is all we wanted from the movie, really.
But then this moment is ruined because we get a close up of Matilda's dog shit face. Making his dumb fucking honking noises.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right, this movie sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
It would have been so easy to feel for Matilda. Matilda, who nuzzles Billy's neck as they walk/hop along. And it is clear these two fuck.
It's so clear that they fuck. I wrote down, it's almost like putting an animal in a ring was a horrible idea. There's a reason that no matter how many hundreds of Air Bud movies they've made, or how many sports that dog or its spawn have played, you will never see it in a fighting ring.
I would pay really good money to see. I don't actually want a man to box a dog, because that's animal cruelty.
Right, obviously.
But make a movie where a boxer has to just bend over and punch a dog in the face.
So the Air Buddies make it even worse. It's the
Oh,
puppies.
it's the puppy ones.
It's the Air Buddies go to Air Buddies fighting the World Wrestling Federation. They just go and they just the fucking Undertaker versus all these puppies.
I just got a terrible flashback to an anime movie named Midori where some terrible things happen to a puppy or puppies. I tried to block it out.
Yeah.
We're back in the pub we started in.
Yes.
Billy tells us that Bernie now manages Lee because I don't fucking know.
Right.
And Pinky is his assistant because that's how things work in movies.
Right.
Bernie and Kathleen got married because why not? I guess they felt she and this were somehow necessary. Mm-hmm. Parkhurst also, for some reason, won a bunch of awards for writing about Matilda and is now editor of the paper.
Because that's how things work in movies.
Tanya has become a singer in Las Vegas because why not?
Because we care about what Tanya's doing, I guess.
Gordon became vice president of William Morris Talent Agency, even though he was a fucking driver.
Yeah.
I don't fucking understand it. Granted, this is a movie where they had a goddamn Irish immigrant reading Variety to get his bearings.
They had a fucking Irish immigrant own a kangaroo.
Matilda? What happened to Matilda? Why isn't Matilda in this pub? It's because Matilda is living with fucking Uncle No-No, who bought a fucking Central American country where he's raising kangaroos. Billy, who loves Matilda like a son, has given Matilda to the gangster that tried to fucking kill the kangaroo, and this gangster has bought a fucking Central American country. It's so
it's amazing that a movie that consistently manages to no-sell its own premise can still be so insulting by the end. Yeah. Can still, it has not managed to stab you with its knife at all, and yet still somehow manages to twist that knife at the end.
Yeah. Also, we find out that Bernie and Kathleen had 4 children.
Gross.
And they're, some of them, we're going to see some of them soon. They seem to be fairly well aged, so it's been a few years. Mm-hmm. But, final better movie than Matilda. Uncle No-No sequel, where he is still a mob boss, and he is using these kangaroos as drug mules across the border.
Oh, God.
Puts it in the pouch, has them hop across.
Not a drug mule, drug-roo.
Ooh!
Yeah. Also, another kangaroo movie that involved a weird amount of mafia plot, Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. Now Billy picks up a little Joey, a baby kangaroo, played by an actual live-action baby kangaroo.
The best performance in this movie of baby kangaroo acting like a baby kangaroo that really doesn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
At all, is desperately trying to escape.
Bernie and his family arrive, and Billy gives Bernie the Joey, which is named Junior, to take to the gym to train. Kathleen says it's inhumane to do that to a baby kangaroo, and she is 100% right.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of fucking training is involved with this. I just imagine Elliot Gould punching this baby kangaroo in the goddamn face.
Right in the goddamn face.
Billy looks at the camera and says, "Life's grand, isn't it?" Fuck you. End movie.
I said, life's grand. And I said, it is now that I never have to watch this again. There's also a bit where, as they're driving off, one of Bernie's kids lets go of a red balloon and it flies off into the air.
Yeah.
In, I guess, an homage to Red Balloon.
Maybe.
My final note is, the audience turned on Matilda because it felt the encroachment of the possible evolutionary end of the line of humanity and the rise of the marsupials wiping out humanity, which makes this a prequel to Howling 3, The Marsupials.
Sure. I also want to point out, Elliot Gould says the word marsupial a lot, and it's great.
Yes.
So that concludes No Not That One month.
Ended on the lowest
Yes.
end of the spectrum. I do wish that we had ended either with Up or with Tag.
Yes.
Because we have now seen like one of my favorite movies we've ever talked about.
And one of your least favorite.
One of my least favorite movies we've ever talked about.
Do you know what you want to talk about next week?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, we will get back to you with that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Good night.
I need to go to the bathroom so bad.